Today, we're going back to mazes past of Scarowinds. Back when they had such crazy in-depth stories. Today on Haunt Culture. Episode. Today I wanted to take a look back at some very old mazes of Scarowinds. Some from when I started and even further back than that. So back in 2007 and 2008, they hit a mark with these mazes where they had huge, like almost a book-long description to go off of, which nowadays it's like half a paragraph of, and it's just you know, just a little setup.
Like 3 or 4 sentences.
But I just can't believe they took the time to write out such a long novel-sized story for some of these mazes. So we're going to explore that, get Brittany's reaction, as she's, I don't think, seen any of these mazes.
I have not seen any of these mazes. I've heard the lore and the story behind them all, and I just never went to Scarowinds before I started working there. So I'm very excited. I've heard, we're going to talk about some of them that I've heard a lot about, but I still know nothing. Absolutely nothing. I hear people talk about it all the time, but I don't know anything about it. What are we starting with, Leroy?
We're going to start with a maze that's very personal to me because it's where it all began. Final Summons. Library zombie. That's what I was. I was a baby, actually brace-faced zombie with no facial hair, if you can imagine.
That was strange.
And the length of this story is insane.
Scrolling. It's a beast.
So I will try to get through this. Yeah, strap in, get some popcorn, because here we go with Final Summons. Deep in the heart of the Louisiana Bayou, an old manor stands in great disrepair, a testament to its previous days of grandeur. Okay, let's see if you can pronounce this.
Bavius?
Buvaeus Manor. We'll put the spelling below. You can let us know if we're right or wrong. Probably
you can try to pronounce it.
Served as the family home of the Buvaeus family for over 100 years.
Oh,
The home was a place for the family to gather each year and celebrate their great heritage. As generations passed, the family outgrew the home. There's a lot of run-on sentences here, just a warning. And many lost all connection with the family heritage.
Ah, dang. So disappointing.
Lost family heritage that had at one time been so dear to their hearts. The only remaining member was an old maid named Amy Buvaeus.
Oh, Amy.
Having never married, her only connection to the family she so desperately longed for was the home.
Okay.
That house meant everything to her. Being alone all the time draws its suspicions. Amy was known by the townspeople as the Old Witch.
Oh.
Long being accused of toying with voodoo, many people were too terrified even to pass the house. As time passed, Amy grew older. The house went into disrepair. Thought it already did.
Yeah.
And people were content to ignore the old woman. All changed one summer 25 years ago.
Oh.
The town faced the worst plague it had ever experienced.
Yikers.
Everyone fell deathly ill, except Amy.
Oh.
Specialists were called from around the world. What time period is this?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. One, we're still going. This is still the same maze description.
Yep.
This is like a novella.
But no one could identify the mystery illness that was killing the townspeople mercilessly. It wasn't long before fingers began pointing at the lonely old witch who, desperate for answers, stormed the home, searching endlessly for Amy Buvaeus. I am definitely saying it wrong.
Yeah.
Finally, the mob reached the attic. When they opened the door, she was sitting in an old rocker. The room was a terrific sight.
The room was a terrific sight.
I'm gonna guess they were going for terrifying sight, but it says terrific. This is straight from I copy and pasted this from their old website, so they wrote this. So from the terrific sight, filled with poppets full of pins and reeking of putrid flesh.
Oh.
They stormed Amy, who sat calmly in her chair.
In her terrific attic. I don't think this was proofread.
I don't think so. Terrific. They're going to kill her, but they're like, but man, that's a terrific room.
That's a great attic. I love that rocking chair.
No spider webs? And is that popcorn ceiling? That's great. Terrific.
Skip it. Just skip it.
Sorry. There was no struggle, no sign of resistance. It was as if she was expecting them. As the crowd dragged her from the house, others rushed to prepare a noose in the yard. They slid the rope over her neck on the large oak tree in the yard. The crowd became silent. Amy let out a laugh that chilled the air. Then, as if she had rehearsed it 1,000 times, Amy spoke these words. I will knock down the gates of the netherworld. I will smash the doors and leave them flat.
With her terrific attic. Do they say her terrific?
I will leave the room terrifically. I killed the momentum there. I'm sorry.
She will leave the world terrifically.
I didn't read these before we started filming, so that surprised me. I will let the dead go up to eat the living. The dead will outnumber the living. You will all suffer.
Was that the end of the description?
No.
Oh, okay.
We still got another paragraph.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
This was all the proof the angry mob needed. They quickly released her and let her lifeless body swing from the tree, leaving her there to rot.
Oh.
Soon after, the town seemed to return to normal. It has remained for the past 25 years. But on the anniversary, strange things began to happen. Things in the house began to stir.
Terrifically?
The first thing people noticed was the family graveyard was empty. All of the graves dug up, as if something had escaped.
She did say they would escape.
Then people began going missing. Now there are tales of the walking dead. Zombies who have returned at the hand of Amy Buveus to seek her revenge. All who enter this cursed place will be doomed. And scene.
Wow. There was no need for that to be that long.
Was it not terrific?
It was so terrific. I feel like such a long description puts everybody in a box and nobody can be creative. Now, did they have an Amy? Was there an Amy?
There was an Amy.
Okay.
She was very nice, and she was considered the icon of the maze. And I remember the weird thing about her, and the actress was not a big fan of this, they would put slime in her hair. So I guess it would look wet all night, which, what purpose that served? She didn't drown.
Yeah, she was hung.
So for some reason they just wanted her to have slimy hair.
This is like slime that drips down from the ceiling. It's disgusting. Yeah, but that's what I get for killing everyone, I guess.
Like, I can imagine wanting to go for like a ratty, like crazy, like slicked back look, but like, why do you need slime? She looks like a mermaid. She looks like she
had
should
a
be
dress
mermaid.
on. Yeah, she definitely didn't look old. She was very young.
No, she looked, which like, I can get like she uses dark magic, like she uses dark magic so she can continue to look younger. But if her whole thing is, I'm cursing this town because my family disappeared and I have no other family other than this house, why would she be so young? Like, I feel like you would want somebody who's a little bit older. You would want to put those wrinkles on them and you would want her to look creepy and scary, and she looks like a mermaid.
But it was a fun maze to work. Had a really good group of people in there. Well, let's move to our next tale. It's not quite as long, but it's still pretty long. And if you'd like to read this one.
Is this Dead End?
This is Dead End.
Yes! I've heard so much about this, and I want them to bring it back. Because my first haunt that I worked in when I was 16 years old at my home haunt in Columbia, South Carolina, was a hotel. And I was the butler on my very first night of ever working a haunt. I was the bellhop that like welcomed all of the guests in. So I really do have a soft spot for like haunted hotels and stuff. The Dead Inn. These stories always start out with a dream. This one is no different. John Cole and his family had always wanted to open up a cozy little inn in the country. They scrimped and saved for years to bring their dream to reality. In the summer of 1963, the Parkview Inn opened for business. After several months with few guests, John became obsessed with making their plan work. His obsession began to tear his family apart. Following the 1-year anniversary of the opening, the condition had not improved. John's wife left with their kids and decided it would be best if they went their separate ways. Losing his wife pushed John even further over the edge, and he decided that he would make the inn a success. Don't know why it took losing his wife and kids to want to put some effort into the inn, but okay. John believed that if the inn were a success, he could win back his one true love. But fate had other plans in store. Within months of his wife leaving, John began to change and reality began to fade away. He saw each guest that came to his inn with suspicion, believing that they caused his wife to leave him. Several guests that had visited the inn simply disappeared, never to be seen again. The sheriff's office began to investigate the disappearances, but was not able to learn the truth. They could have explained that a whole lot better. It was very abrupt ending there. On October 13th, I would assume a Friday the 13th, 1964, John reached his breaking point. In a violent rampage, he murdered 18 innocent guests who had made the mistake of staying at the little inn. Following the massacre, John walked into the front office and slit his own throat. For years, several owners tried to revive the cozy little inn. Unfortunately, all of their attempts failed. The story of the massacre is too well known. All of the locals call the inn by a more sinister moniker, Dead Inn. Only a few years ago, the inn was condemned and boarded up. The old building that was built on dreams is off limits. Even to this day, locals claim that the ghosts of John Cole and his victims still roam the rooms. Within the doors of the Parkview Inn, history is coming alive, room by room. Who will be the next victim at the Dead Inn? I love that. I feel like that is such a good concept. Like, I'm not going to lie. Some of you know I'm a theater teacher. Every Halloween I do a character building unit where I make maze and scare zone descriptions and the kids have to build a character off of it. And I have used a description that is very similar to that. Because it's like Mass Acres. There's every single character has a different story and they're all connected by one thing, and it leaves room for individuality. It leaves room for great character development. And who doesn't love a spooky haunted hotel? Yeah. As somebody who grew up going to Charleston and doing like the ghost tours, the hotels and the ghost stories from hotels and like inns and stuff were always the best ones. So I think that is and what years was this there? This was Dead Inn, I think. I don't remember exactly when it started, but this is 2007, I think. Like that's such a cool, and with people going to Airbnbs now, like I feel like it would be even cooler to have it like nowadays because you've got the whole Airbnb thing. Yeah, have a modern Airbnb. Yeah. Like that would be so fun. I just love Air R.I.P. Oh, I love that. Trademark it. No. I do remember Dead Inn. It was a cool maze. It's where the arcade is at Scarowinds. Oh. They would take all the games out of there and put a maze in it. Oh my god, I love that. The most interesting part of this maze is they took 2 rooms and mirrored them. Oh. There was a mirror that you could see through to the other room. They would have 2 actresses that looked similar in either room. So you could look through and it would look like you're looking through a mirror. But it's really another room that you'll eventually get to as you go through the maze. So wow. It was a really cool effect. And it was a really fun little maze. I do have kind of a funny memory of Dead End because
I was in Scare Force. It was my first year. And it was near the end of the night, and there was some kind of an emergency. All the monsters, or all Scare Force monsters had to report back to the water park, but then we got cut off, and we had to go to Dead End.
Oh.
And the maze was still running. People were still going through it, and suddenly, in the middle of a maze, Overlord, Chainsaw Man, Statue Lady, and me, the Ringmaster, and a bunch of other characters come crashing in to the hotel to go to the break room.
They're like, excuse me, I need a room.
Bubbles the Clown was there too. It was great.
Oh.
And there were people just like, what the hell is happening right now?
10 out of 10, wish I could go back and experience that one.
Going on another maze, a theme that Scarowinds hasn't done in a very long time, aliens.
Oh god, I hate aliens.
Aliens is a tough one to pull off from a scaring standpoint. You've got to have really good makeup to be convincing and to be scary. Alien Annihilation. It was 2007 to 2009.
Oh, only 3 years.
Yes, because of Intimidator.
Ah.
They used to have a big wooded area next to the old log flume ride. That is where they would put Alien Annihilation, and then Intimidator came along and cut that whole area out. So Harmony Hall is where Alien Annihilation used to be.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, but I remember at least the last year of Alien Annihilation, there were some cool characters, but there were also people in tights and people looking like nature and stuff. And I'm sure it looked better in the dark, but it was just very odd to see people walking around in tights at Monster Central. So anyway, Alien Annihilation had a big story here, so we're going to go through that. For years, these woods have remained uninhabited by any humans. Well, so we thought. Well, wouldn't it still not be humans?
See, if they're aliens, they would in fact not be humans.
Just a few months ago, a team of scientists set out a mission to map these woods. One of the only remaining uncharted pieces of land. What they found astonished them. Buried deep in these ancient woods were ruins too great and grand to be imagined. Remnants of structures that would amaze even the ancient Egyptians. But that's not the most amazing part. After an extensive study on the ruins, it was determined that these structures predated even the earliest records of human existence. Could this mean that humans may be even older than we previously thought? Originally, the only evidence found at the site was fractures of a tablet, written in a language unfamiliar to humans. This meant the only avenue of explanation of the phenomenon was the human imagination. Scientists simply deduced that the culture was one...
Terrific?
It just turned into like a Discovery Ancient Alien
really
special.
Did.
I started falling asleep reading. And the ancient aliens and the forgotten language. Even the ancient Egyptians.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, let me get back into it. Scientists simply deduced the culture was one of human origin previously unknown to us. Of course, more abstract thinkers had slightly exotic theories. Recently, the situation has become even stranger. The teams of scientists previously working on the site refused to return. They claim to have seen bright lights in the sky, circling as if planning an attack. As they fled, they claim to have discovered the most compelling evidence to date, a tablet written in English, but dating to the same time of the other tablets that details plans for a return. A return from another planet to claim once belonged to another race. No humans will be spared. This world will bow before them. All we can do is sit and wait. Wait for the time when they decide the era of humans has expired. Wait for annihilation.
So they found a tablet in a language they didn't know, but then immediately found a tablet in English that they knew was the same tablet as the one that they couldn't read?
Now, I will say, I do remember when you're waiting in line, you would see this giant glowing tablet. It was like a circular thing that you would see in the woods as you're going into the maze. So they did stick to that.
That's cool.
A little bit closer.
Cool.
It was one of my favorite mazes going through as a guest in 2007.
Was it in the woods?
It was in the woods.
Oh, okay, so that's
followed a
already
path.
cool.
Yeah, they had like a tunnel and stuff, and people were hiding in the walls. It was pretty cool. And then you get to the very end, and there was an alien king and queen.
Oh.
And their bodyguard, which was this really big suit, like beastly suit.
I don't know. I don't believe in aliens, so like aliens aren't that interesting to me. I also feel like it's like unless you're doing alien like comes out of your belly alien like
spleen.
Like I just feel like it's either gonna be cheesy or it's gonna be like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Like it's got to be funny. It's got to be silly. Like
not take itself too seriously.
Exactly. And I don't know that maze. It sounds like it took itself very seriously.
It did. Yeah, I mean, I guess I can see why they haven't gone back to aliens. So now we're going to go back even further to 2005.
Wow.
In some of the early Scarowinds stuff that I've researched, I think their equivalent of Overlord back then might have been the Headless Horseman, because they had a ton of like Sleepy Hollow, Headless Hollow, Massacre Manor, which was also themed after Ichabod Crane.
Oh, wow.
Like, they just really went heavy on that. And this was, I think, more the Paramount time.
Yeah.
Not sure if that had an influence.
Yeah, probably.
Fun fact, Jason Voorhees was at Scarowinds, not as a
Yes.
maze.
Oh.
Or I think it was a movie thing they would watch.
Oh, interesting.
But I think they may have had a character of Jason walking around. I don't know.
Oh.
If you guys know the answer, let us know.
We don't know everything.
But I know there was also an Elvira
Yeah.
action ride. That was very popular. Superstition.
Yeah.
Let's head on to Massacre Manor, which I find interesting because Mass Acres came much later on, which was originally supposed to be a maze, became a scare zone. It's interesting they keep going back to Massacre.
Well, I also feel like when you work at a corporate park like this, you use ideas, then you get rid of them, and then you circle back to them, because I think there's a lot of things coming that circle back to later years.
Massacre Manor. Guests should take heed before exploring Van Tassel Farmhouse. The Van Tassel Farmhouse.
Van Tassel?
Van Tassel. Site of Ichabod Crane's last hours before his unfortunate encounter with the Headless Horseman.
Ah.
Crane wasn't the only victim on that fateful night. In the wee hours of the morning, the horseman slipped quietly into the farmhouse and slaughtered all of its inhabitants. Now, 200 years later, the undead lurk around every corner, the sinister laughter echoing throughout the ruins of the farmhouse. The horseman has crept into the house once before. Will he be back to kill again?
Yeah.
Shorter.
Very much shorter. Very Headless Horseman, very classic Hallows story. Hello? Oh.
Itsy! Get down. You're not in this show. No matter how much you try to be.
That's interesting. I do love a classic like horror, like Headless Horseman, like things like that. So that was a maze, or was it a zone?
That was a maze, and they had a zone called Headless Hollow.
Oh.
In the same year.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Which, they have a description for that. I'll read real quick. Foolish travelers tempt fate when walking deep into the western woods. Much more than just a vague figure in the dusty pages of an old book, the Headless Horseman lurks in the shadows of the October moon, waiting to add human heads to his collection. Trespassers beware! The horseman isn't the only menace encountered during the journey. Driven to insanity by the restless spirits of the forest, the Howlers, an evil clan of woodsmen, haunt these paths. They don't like visitors.
So he went into the house, killed all these people, and now he's living on the outside world after he committed all of these crimes?
In Headless Hollow!
I feel like you can't have him mentioned in two different areas and have him only present in one. I'm all about continuity.
I did hear, and I don't know how true this is, any old Scarowinds fans, please let me know, but supposedly they did have a guy on a horse that would throw a pumpkin.
I have seen pictures of a man on a horse. I'm almost positive. I'll try to see if I can find it, but I am very certain that I have seen a picture of a headless man on a horse.
You know what I would like to see? Because the Headless Horseman was clearly one of the biggest icons during that time period. Have an ultimate battle royale. Headless Horseman versus Overlord versus the Witch!
Versus the Queen.
Oh, and the Queen, yes! Oh, man. Because, Halloween Horror Nights is kind of teetered with that idea with their icons.
Yeah.
But we could take it on at Scarowinds, huh? Those 4 icons from years past, that'd be kind of cool.
That would be really interesting to do this is Carowinds' 50th year, and I feel like Scarowinds is going to be pretty big this year. And I hope they do some fun throwbacks to early Scarowinds times. They've been doing Scarowinds for 23 years now. This will be their 23rd year doing Scarowinds.
I got one more, and there's a reason I'm reading this, and see if you can catch it. But this is from the very first year in 2000.
Oh.
Nightmare Manor. Welcome home. With devilish wink and foreboding laugh, a hooded figure ushers you into the dark, dismal home. As you creep through the house, you enter one terrifying room after another. Doors within this domination of the undead open and shut at random. Chairs rattle and whine as you descend deeper into this terrific haunted house. They did it again.
Not terrific. I feel like Carowinds is trying to make this PG-13. They're like, it's not terrifying, it's terrific. And your 13-year-old can definitely come inside. Mm-hmm. Also, that description just gives me, Overlord vibes. The hooded figure brings you into this house. Overlord's leading you into this haunted house, and then he's going to kill you at the end.
I might be wrong about what year this is. It might be 2002. But it's one of the first 3 years of Scarowinds. I think we're in agreement that Dead End, had the best description of today.
I absolutely loved that
because it just had a really good character development.
And it wasn't too long. It was long, but it wasn't too long where you got lost in everything.
Alien Annihilation, where it sounded like we were reading a Discovery special. Cool. If you guys, again, want us to do more of that, let us know. We need your feedback. But I think that's going to wrap up this haunt culture. Thanks for watching. Give it a big old thumbs up if you liked it. And subscribe if you haven't already. And be sure to follow us on our social media accounts.
Yes. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. And we hope to see you in the next one. And remember to keep it spooky.